very special guest tonight. Happy to be joined by Steve Cofield, host of Cofield and Company on ESPN 1100 in Las Vegas. Steve, you got two dudes out here on the East Coast. I know myself personally, I wish I was where you're at right now. You know what I'm saying? Getting ready for a big season. But I will be out there in about a month's time from now. So I definitely got to stop by the studio and join you. What's good with you, my brother?
A whole lot, man. It's the end of the week for me because 4th of July we get the day off. So I'm on the strip now. I'm going to go to a local place, and then tomorrow is going to be crazy fireworks. I don't know if you guys have ever been to Vegas around 4th of July. It's nuts here because we're in the desert, so people go out to the desert. It's wild, man. It's going to be a crazy time.
Definitely. That sounds like fun. Let's hop in here and let's talk a little AFC West football. And I want to start with the team right there in your backyard. I had mentioned earlier there is 3 and a possible 4 Hall of Fame head coaches in the AFC West. Andy Reid, Sean Payton, Pete Carroll, and maybe Harbaugh one day. Pete Carroll is a culture builder. In my opinion, this is exactly what the Raiders needed. I think the Raiders are going to have one of the best ATS records in the league this year. What's the feel around town about the Vegas Raiders?
I think it's cautious excitement. Expectations are higher than they've been because they have a better coach now. Nothing against Antonio Pierce, but he was a little in over his head, and Josh McDaniel's a nightmare. That we could tell early on. Frankly, when he got hired, we were like, why Josh McDaniel after what he did in Denver? So, yeah, you now have an established guy in Pete Carroll. He's won. He's won consistently. You can see the culture already changing. People love what they did in the draft because they needed offensive help. They needed a run game, most importantly. The run game, even with Josh Jacobs the last year, because the O-line wasn't good, it wasn't very good with Josh Jacobs. And then, of course, he goes on and he has a great year with the Packers. So people love Ashton Jeanty. And now you've got a combo here with Jeanty, who's fresh legs, coming into the league as a guy who potentially could go out and rush for 1,300, maybe catch 300 yards out of the backfield. And Pete Carroll is dedicated to the run game. He's an old school coach, so he's going to want to play possession football. So people are excited about that. I think folks like Geno Smith. I like him. I don't know that he's a top 10 quarterback, but he's so much better than what they had last year. The combination last year was terrible. And we'll see about the defense. They haven't spent a ton of money on the defense. They spent it last year on extending Crosby and bringing in Christian Wilkins. So that's a little disappointing that he's still suffering from that foot injury. But people trust in Carroll's ability to put together a defense. So the defense should be pretty solid. But as you said, the problem is to win a lot of games, you got to win some of them in the division, and this division is really tough.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go to next because I'm surprised Carroll even took that job because I keep saying, why do people keep taking jobs in the AFC West when the Kansas City Chiefs are there? It's happened a few years in a row, right? Harbaugh and Sean Payton. So with Vegas being in a division, again, I'm in North Jersey, close to New York, and you got the Jets who had to deal with the Patriots. So there was always sort of a pessimism around the team. No matter what good was going on, it's like we're with the Patriots. What's that with the Las Vegas Raiders and their future around in regards to media and the fans of what they feel like they could potentially do over the next 5 years in trying to catch Kansas City?
Well, that's a good question because that's the interesting part here because right now Geno Smith is only a bridge. So to ultimately get to the top of this division, they have to find a quarterback who's going to be a guy who's here for 6 or 8 years, and you have to do that through the draft, or you're going to have to do it via free agency, but none of these guys ever really become available. So I think they can get to a point, and fans believe they can get to a point where they can at least win 8, 9, 10 games and at least get on the dance floor. Winning the division is tough because while I think the Chiefs will come back a little bit after going 15-2 and winning almost every close game, the Raiders being a team that can win, say, 12, 13, 14 games, I think a little ways off. But, and the other part of it that's interesting, when you say 5 years, I don't know that Pete Carroll's in this for more than 3. So I think most people believe Pete's going to change the culture, be a bridge with Geno to get them to a point where they can win consistently, at least be a 500 team that will challenge and win some close games and get to 9 or 10. But it's been a very strange run here in Las Vegas because the Raiders seem to strive to make sure they're competitive instead of going to rock bottom. And when they've had a chance to be rock bottom, they won just a few too many games. Like last year 2 years ago was devastating because they were on the verge with McDaniel out and AP in they were on the verge of being a top 5 pick in the NFL draft, and they wanted Jaden Daniels so badly, but they won too many inconsequential games at the end of the year a couple of years ago, and they took themselves out of the mix. So that's kind of when I say people are cautiously optimistic, you have to have that franchise quarterback. And right now they have someone who's pretty good, but they don't have that guy locked up yet.
Steve, when you look at MVP odds, right, and the NFL MVP award is kind of become like a 4-horse race, maybe 5 or 6, right? You got Lamar Jackson, you got Josh Allen, you got Pat Mahomes, you got Joe Burrow. Maybe you throw Jalen Hurts and Jaden Daniels into the mix as well. As then I'm scrolling and I'm looking through odds, and way down at 20-1, I'm like, Bo Nix, interesting. He is the guy who, in my opinion, is the engine behind that team. Yeah, they play great defense. Yeah, they run the football. But you look at Nix's numbers, they weren't terrible at all last year. They kind of were on par with Pat Mahomes. He had a winning team. They won 10, should have won 11. Remember the block kick? They should have been the first team to beat Kansas City. If we go on the fact that he shows improvement, they finished second place in the division, they're a 12-win team. My thing is that 20-1 at some point this season can get to 10-1 or shorter. Where are you at on Bo Nix? Because I've been told that I'm on an island on Bo Nix by myself.
I'm not on the island with you. Sorry. I'm not, you are on an island. Okay, one, I think the Broncos, their defense is really good. I think their offense is solid. I do expect a regression with Bo Nix. Now that people have seen him around the league, I think there's going to be a little bit of regression. I think the fact that the Raiders are going to be a little better will also hurt the Broncos' chances. I think the Broncos and the Raiders are about the same level, teams that can strive to win maybe 8 or 9 games. I think the Chargers are going to be the team in the division that moves forward, maybe another game and a half. I guess you can't win 1.5 games, but you get my point. They're going to improve. And I think it's hard for a guy like Bo Nix. This has become a quarterback award. And now what we've lined up, guys, is it seems like they give the award to whoever is kind of next in line with the story. So from what I was hearing, people were dying to give the MVP award to Joe Burrow because he was having such a monster year, but they weren't winning games. The defense was terrible. I could see Burrow going out, and he puts up his normal numbers. And if the Bengals can survive how lousy the organization is with their players, like how they're treating Hendrickson and the rookie, if they go out and they win 12 or 13 games, and Burrow is the guy this year that has the same numbers as Mahomes and Josh Allen and similar to Lamar Jackson, I think a lot of times it's like, hey, it's his turn now to win. So that's the problem with Bo Nix. He not only he's got to win, he's got to get better, but he's got to overcome so many stars at quarterback to win the award.
Yeah, and the gaudy numbers that these quarterbacks put up, whether it's 5,000 yards, 45 touchdowns, like you got to have something. Lamar Jackson running for 900 plus yards. You got to do something really gaudy. I'm glad you're on my side with the Chargers. I think the Chargers are sort of my hidden team this year, just because I went to Penn State, by the way, so I shouldn't love Jim Harbaugh, but I think Jim Harbaugh is a phenomenal coach. No matter where he goes, he continues to win. And again, another reason why I think it's going to be tough for the Raiders to get better is having Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers progress. Talk to me a little bit your mindset about the Chargers and how good they can be this year.
Well, I mean, Harbaugh came in and got his philosophy going right from the get-go. They didn't have great running backs, but he was dedicated to the run, and they got production out of it. And I think it made Justin Herbert more efficient. Now, keep in mind, Herbert also was dealing with kind of half a deck in terms of receivers. Their receiving core was not great. I think Herbert was second in the league in passes dropped, by his receivers with like 31 dropped. Rodgers was one with the Jets. I'm glad you mentioned the Jets earlier. I'm a Jets fan, so they're an awful organization. But Rodgers got victimized by that as well. But their running back mix, I think, this year is better with Najee Harris. And then the rookie that they drafted out of North Carolina is a freaking beast. And then the other thing I think that gets overlooked is, he brought over the Michigan DC. Their defense was freaking consistent and good last year. And maybe there's an addition by subtraction with Joey Bosa out. Now you have no expectations for him when he plays his 7 games and he's dinged up the whole time. But yeah, I think the Chargers, are moving forward. And here's the big question. You mentioned all these MVP candidates. Herbert should be at that same level. And I think people still hold back on him. One, his numbers were a little bit down last year, low interceptions, but he's got to be a little more productive, and he's got to win games. He's got to come up big in close games. They have to win more of those close games, but I think they have everything. And I dare I say this because you guys, I don't think you guys are in on this whole conversation, but out here on the West Coast and the Pacific and Mountain time zones, the Charger fans get busted all the time for they're not zesty enough, right? They don't feel SoFi enough because the Chargers have been good and Harbaugh is popular and Herbert is, really popular as well. Their fan base is getting better, and SoFi is becoming a place that at least they have like 60-40 advantage at home or 70-30, because for a while it was like 50-50 or worse. You'd go to SoFi and you're like, why does it sound like the Chargers are on the road for every game?
Yeah, the Eagles would dominate when they go. I'm in Philadelphia. The Eagles would dominate every time they go out there.
They believe me, Philly fans dominate. We guys, we have the same exact problem here, and you know what? I didn't even mention it as a factor because the Raiders have so many things they have to improve on, but it is a problem in Las Vegas. One, we're the best destination in the NFL for opposing fans to visit. So when it's on the schedule, like, hey, we're coming to Vegas. A lot of the people here who bought tickets were super wealthy. They got PSLs. They will sell their tickets. So there's games here where it's freaking like 70-30 fans with the opposing fans, and Raiders fans are so pissed off about it. But too many of them sell their tickets, and Vegas is a great place to come to. So people want to invade the stadium.
That's an interesting dynamic, though, because but the flip side of that, right? And you mentioned that it's a destination. So get the crew together, get the fellas together. Let's go out to Vegas and watch our favorite team. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe you want to grab your +1 and show her a good time. But last year was the first year that I've been in Vegas since the franchise was there, and as soon as I landed, I was like, there is no better fit fan base to team than Vegas is to the Raiders. Like the Vegas local looks like the dude on the side of the Raider helmet. You know what I'm saying? It was like it's the perfect fit fan base to team. Like I'm like, it's phenomenal with the Raiders in Vegas. It just like it was a perfect fit. So I wanted to mention that. But is Ashton Jeanty going to be the perfect fit in that backfield?
I think he's going to be very good. I have the unique opportunity of covering the Raiders, but I also work on the UNLV broadcast team, and UNLV and Boise State are in the same conference, in the Mountain West Conference. So I actually got to see quite a bit of Ashton Jeanty and quite a bit of him up close in 3 head-to-head meetings the last couple of years. And man, he's special. He's one of the best tackle breakers I've ever seen. He's a fire hydrant the way he's built. But he has this ability to just shed tackles. Like guys slide off him. So I think that skill is going to translate to the NFL. And if he can catch the ball a little bit out of the backfield, as I mentioned earlier, I think he can be 1,300 yards out of the backfield rushing, another 300 passing, and I think he's going to have a monster season, and that's why he should be the favorite for Rookie of the Year. And it'll mean that they back-to-back years they got unbelievable impact rookies in Brock Bowers, who obviously had a lot of competition for Offensive Rookie of the Year last year. But yeah, I think Jeanty is going to be awesome. And here's the other thing: I'm not real big on drafting first-round running backs, but he kind of has to be. If you take a guy in the top 10, you're going to use him, and he's got to be productive to validate that pick.
Quick question. We got 30 seconds. Quick question. What's the next team to go to Vegas? Because every organization is trying to get every league is trying to get somebody to Vegas, and it's going to happen eventually. I just Philadelphia just got a WNBA team. Yeah. Who's coming to Vegas next? That's just a curious question.
This is a great question. 30 seconds. This is a great question because we're supposed to be building an A's stadium. The A's are committed to come to Las Vegas for Major League Baseball, but I actually think they could announce expansion in the NBA, and we could have an NBA team here in 2028. And the A's Stadium might not be done because of construction delays and money issues. So we actually may have an NBA team here on the ground before Major League Baseball.